Do you feel like your man has become distant? Are you worried that his feelings have changed? Do you want him to think about you and miss you more? Well, don't go anywhere, because in this video I'm going to share 6 powerful tips that will make your man miss you and value you again. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borello. Welcome to another video. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy with the people you love. So, if you're interested in making your love life the best part of your life, start now by clicking the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you aren't missing anything. Okay, on to the steps to make a man miss you and value you again. When your boyfriend seems distant or not as into you as he was before, it's a scary position to be in. You feel insecure and worried that he might be slipping away. So it's natural to want to do something to fix the problem and make things go back to the way they used to be. Unfortunately, the things you try to do to bring him close again, like trying to see him more and asking him what's wrong, will actually push him further away. And the harder you try, the worse things seem to be. Here's an example. You notice that your boyfriend isn't calling or texting you as much. And when he does call, he's quick to get off the phone. Or maybe he hasn't been making plans with you as often as he did before, or isn't as affectionate with you when you're together. Of course, this makes you worried, and you start paying extra attention to everything he does, looking for more confirmation of the way you're feeling. And without a doubt, you find example after example of how things have changed, and it makes you feel worse and even more insecure. Can you relate to this? If so, keep watching. So, you talk to him and ask him what's wrong, and he tells you everything is okay, you're just too sensitive, stop worrying about it. Still, you know that something is different. If you're like most people, you can't just forget about it. Instead, you try to bring him closer. You become extra attentive and want to spend time with him trying to rekindle. In other words, when you feel him getting distant, you put more effort into the relationship and increase the level of attention, affection, and concern for him. Because of course, you don't want to lose him. And this is actually making things worse for you and for him. That's because you are the one putting in all of the energy and effort, and you are doing all of the investment into the relationship. The relationship becomes lopsided, and you start feeling taken for granted and underappreciated. And despite all of your efforts, nothing changes. You become frustrated, bitter, and even resentful. And then, when you continue to complain, things just get more difficult between you. It's like he sees you as the one who's always complaining and nagging at him. Trying harder doesn't help. Instead, change your focus and do these 6 steps and you'll turn things around. Oh, and you've got to implement them in order. The order in which you do these steps is super important. In other words, if you do number 6 before you do number 1, you'll be hurting your chances of turning things around. So make sure you pay attention to all of them in order. Number 1, stop initiating communications. When you miss someone, it's hard to not reach out to that person because you want to be connected and communicating. But if you want a man to really miss you, you must pull away. So do not initiate calls or text to him. Notice I didn't say ignore him or stop communicating. I'm saying stop being the one that's always looking for him and starting communications. In other words, you're not the one who's going to be starting the day off with a good morning call or text. Instead, let him do it. Eventually, he will recognize the difference and wonder why you've suddenly gone silent on him. Let him feel a little down and realize he was happier when things were different. Your silence will speak volumes, and he will usually initiate contact again pretty quickly. Oh, and make him wait before you return his calls and texts. I understand the urge to respond back immediately, especially if you've been waiting to hear from him for a while, but taking some time before responding to his contact sends the message that you're busy and not just sitting by your phone waiting for him to reach out. Have patience and take your time before responding. Doing so will certainly increase his yearning for you. By the way, when he notices that things have changed with you, he's probably going to bring it up. But, and this is very important, you must refrain from having that discussion until the time is right. I know you'll badly want to talk about it with him, but the timing of the talk has to be right, and you've got to have all the steps in place. Number 2, prioritize you and become someone you would miss. Well, how do you do that? The answer is pretty simple. Be yourself and make yourself a priority. This is easier said than done, but start with taking the attention off of him and put it back on yourself. Take care of you first. Pick up some hobbies. Make and keep plans with your friends. Fill up your social calendar. Cultivate your own rich life, one that he would be fortunate to be part of. Take care of yourself and do the things you like to do. He's got to know how full and complete your life is. And if he becomes part of it, it's because you want him to be part of it, not because you need him to be part of it. And while we've all heard this before, I can't stress it enough. No one can love you or miss you if you don't love yourself. Number 3, be a little bit mysterious. That means you don't have to share every detail of your daily activities with him. I'm not encouraging you to keep secrets or lie about anything. Just don't over-explain every little thing that you're doing unless he asks. You want him to wonder, to develop intrigue. So share bits and pieces of your life slowly and make him earn your trust again. So when you're going out to dinner with your parents, tell him you're going out to dinner. You don't have to tell him who you're going with unless he asks. And when you have plans with friends and he asks you on a date last minute, tell him you have plans with friends. And don't break your plans for his last minute request. This will force him to recognize that your time is valuable and he needs to put you first, not a last minute plan because he has nothing else to do. And you don't have to go above and beyond to make him feel at ease about what you're doing. Remember, you want him to appreciate you and your time, and you want him to remember your value as a friend. So let him wonder, and if he needs to ask, let him do that too. Number 4, use social media to highlight your fun and independent life. Sometimes you can use social media to your advantage by indirectly showing him that you have an independent, full, and fun life apart from him. So let him see this new independent you via social media. Whether you are out to dinner with friends or attending a rock concert, take fun photos and share them on your social media. I mean, don't fabricate elaborate fake posts, but just be you, be fun, and be authentic. He will want to be by your side for every new adventure. See, men want to make sure that you have a life outside of them, and what better way to show him this than by sharing your adventures with him indirectly. So use your social media to update everyone of the fun you're having, and this will definitely cause him to pay attention. Number 5, have the talk when the time is right. This is super important. If you've done these first steps correctly, your boyfriend will definitely recognize a change and will probably become concerned and might even object to these changes. And that's a good thing. You want him to recognize and remember that he has an amazing woman. If he doesn't notice the changes, that's when you should be concerned. But you aren't the one who should bring up this topic. When he notices your changes, he's either going to step up his game and become more loving and more like he used to be, or he's going to bring up what he's noticed and want to have a conversation about it. And that's perfect. So be clear and honest about what you want. While it might be tempting to adjust your wants and needs to accommodate his, this is absolutely something you cannot do if you're seeking a long-term relationship. For example, you start dating a guy who has made it clear to you that he isn't seeking anything serious, but you are. You really like him and feel that if you just play casual and go along with his wants, you'll eventually be able to convince him to align his wants with yours. In the short term, you may feel that it's working, but in the long run, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment. Think about it. Isn't it easier to go into a potential relationship with someone who's seeking the same thing rather than going into something he thinks is casual and you working to change his mind? We all have limited time and resources. Why are you going to waste yours trying to change him when instead you could be with someone seeking the same thing and worthy of your time and resources? It comes down to this. How is he going to miss you if he really isn't looking to miss someone? You have to believe guys when they say they aren't looking for a relationship. Trust me, you will save yourself so much time, effort, heartache, and disappointment if you do. Number 6, be willing to walk away. You must be willing to walk away from someone and something if it isn't working. You cannot lie to yourself or bargain with yourself that although he isn't really what you're looking for, he will change or things will get better. Believe me, they won't. And if anything, they will only get worse. He needs to feel that you aren't willing to settle, that you aren't going to tolerate behaviors or actions of his that you don't agree with. And in addition, in order for him to miss you, he needs to experience the fear of loss, essentially the fear of losing you. This fear will be even greater if you are your best self, because this type of fear then is in fact rooted in love. But he will only experience this if he knows that you are willing and able to walk away from something that isn't right for you. Look, these suggestions aren't anything that you haven't heard before. But why are they so difficult for some people to do? Well, because they feel counterintuitive and risky. And I can hear the reasons and excuses now. If I'm not available, he'll find someone else. If I'm not responsive, he'll find someone who is. If I don't call him back, he'll get mad and think that I don't like him. If I seem less interested, he will be less interested. Or this one is my favorite. If I do these things, he will be angry and leave me for sure. Yes, all of them feel risky. You're fearing the worst thing that could happen, that he will become less interested or he will forget about you altogether. You're worried that it won't work and think that you should just be yourself. But all of these are just excuses driven by fear, the fear of being rejected. And I can promise you this, if he loves you, if he values you, doing these things will wake him up and he will remember and appreciate what he has before it's too late and you're over it completely. So, as I've said in other videos, the most important thing that you can do to increase the quality of your relationship is to overcome your fear of being rejected, overcome your fear of the relationship ending. And in order to do so, you must adopt the belief that if it's meant to happen, it will. If you're not compatible though, it's not going to work out in the long run anyway. Rejection doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It simply means that this is not the right person for you, period. These tips are all rooted in being the best version of yourself. They're all designed to help him recognize your value and to remember the person he fell in love with. And they are based on loving and respecting yourself and your life. So give them a try and let us know. Are you in this situation or a similar one? Have you tried any of these strategies for making a person miss you? Did they work? Leave a comment and let's start a discussion. For every 100 comments this video gets, I'm going to give away another $50 Amazon gift card to a random subscriber. So even if this video is 6 months old, make sure you're subscribed and leave a comment for a chance to win. And if you're really giving these tips a try and still feel underappreciated or unappreciated, perhaps he's just not that into you. Click here to watch a video that explains the signs that a person you're dating isn't into you. I'll see you in that video.